So in this video, I'll be answering my most frequently asked questions of, do you need a license, or why you need a license? What if your state doesn't require your business to have a license? Do you have to buy in pre-packs? And why do you need invoices to register for some vendors? What's up, icons? It's the iconic fashion figure back with a new video. So I'm gonna throw out my disclaimer in the beginning like I normally would do. But I just want to let people know that this video is not intended to personally attack anyone, to offend anyone, for anyone to take this personal whatsoever. I'm just trying to answer the questions that I'm always being asked, because I see it in the comments a lot. I get it DM'd a lot, emailed a lot. So I just want to answer these questions for everyone, at the same time share some experiences, so that way I'm not just telling you why, and I'm more of painting that picture for you. Oh, and I might ramble a lot in this video too, so I'll make sure to put the times down for each question, so that way you can skip forward to the question you need if I start talking too much. Let's get into this video. So this is just a talking video for those of you guys that don't like those type of videos. So if you don't like that video, check out a video either another day or next week, because trust me, you're not gonna like this one. I'm just doing talking. But to get into the first question, the most popular question of them all, do you need a license, or why do you need a license to register? Now, when it comes to buying wholesale, you're buying with the intent to resell, which is why a resale certificate is required. Most of the vendors I share on my channel, especially vendors that are within the US, do require some sort of license. I don't necessarily go into specifics on each vendor because I give you guys the website. So I give it to you so you can look further into the ones that you like, because some of them I've worked with, so I know exactly and I can tell you. Some of them I've never worked with. I'm just providing you the information in case it's helpful to you. But I can say most of them do require a license. For the ones that I know for sure do not require a license, I always try to be sure to let you guys know they do not require a license. So that way, those of you that are just looking to buy, but you're not ready to register your business, you can go purchase those from those vendors, and you're not wasting too much time on vendors that require a license. Now, why do you need a license? That mainly, the short answer to it, is for tax purposes. I feel like I've said this before, but maybe I haven't. It's probably just in my head and never came out of my mouth. I usually have a million things in my mind, but the wholesale license is required mainly because of tax purposes. When you're buying from a supplier or vendor, it's what's called a B2B transaction. It's business to business. So you have one business selling to another, which that end business has the intent to resell. So when you are reselling, you're reselling to a consumer, which the consumer is required to pay sales tax based off of government laws. This is for US, of course. Anyone international, these things don't apply to you guys. So if you have the intent to resell, you have to be registered to collect taxes, which is why vendors require the resale certificate for you to collect, or for you to purchase from them, to be sure that you're registered to collect taxes. Because if you're not registered and you don't have a license and a vendor has sold to you, chances are it'll fall on them on paying the taxes when they go to file and they're audited, because you didn't have a resale certificate, so technically you're considered a consumer and not a business. I'm not going to go too into detail on taxes because every state is different. That's something I never understood about the US, because we're one country. Why don't we all have the same tax laws? But every state is different, so you have to figure it out for your state exactly. My recommendation is find a tax consultant in your area that can better help you as far as the taxes when it comes to a business. To piggyback off of those questions, a lot of people also ask too, or more like make a statement. that your state doesn't require you to register your business because you only sell a certain amount in a year, and if you sell below that amount, you don't need to register your business. Those rules and regulations are for you to sell. Yes, you can sell under a certain amount and not have to file taxes against it based off of state law. So you have to find out from your state. This is not for every state. The thing with something like that is you may be selling stuff that you make. You may be thrifting things which you just pay tax in the thrift store if your state has sales tax, and then you're reselling it type of thing. You don't need to claim taxes on it. But if you want to buy wholesale, depending on your state, you're going to need a resale certificate. For instance, when I lived in California, I used to go buy my fabric at the wholesale price from different wholesale fabric stores. A lot of the stuff I designed was samples that I use for fashion shows or to just showcase what I can do and what I was capable of doing. But I didn't have the intention of reselling it. And I wasn't making that much money when I first started. I was still in school. This was more so practice for me, and then this was also just show what I can do, so when I start selling it, people know what I can offer, because I was doing a lot of prom stuff. Now, even though I didn't have intentions of reselling the things that I made with those fabrics stores still required me to have my California seller's permit in order to buy from them wholesale. You kind of have to look at it this way. It's an industry standard. It's not that they're trying to go against you or make it hard for you. It's B2B, and it's industry standard that license is required, is really all I can say to you at this point. So the only thing I could recommend, register your business and have that license just so you can buy wholesale from the places you want, or even if you're not ready to buy wholesale and you want to shop, at least you have the license where you can register and you can browse as you please too. Now, I did do a video as far as reporting your sales for someone that hasn't actually started making sales yet, but you registered your business. So I'll link that video so you can check that out and understand what you would do if you haven't made any sales yet, but you've already registered your business. I think this video will also help those of you that want to go into wholesale versus retail, because I've gotten a few DMs from people too as far as starting a wholesale business versus retail. So I think a lot of these questions will help you guys out on getting started and understanding the whole wholesale side of things and why these things are required and if you need to require them or not. The next common question that I typically get a lot, more so with my business than on YouTube, but I think I've gotten it a couple times on YouTube as well, about why do you have to buy in pre-packs? Can you pick the sizes that you really want and the quantities that you want? Can you just buy one piece out of it? Basically the same question, just worded differently in regards to pre-packs. I'm going to explain pre-packs and then I'm going to share experiences of like what I've dealt with. Pre-packs is pretty much an industry standard. For wholesalers, pre-packs is pretty much how you can make a profit, because when you're a wholesaler, for those of you that are interested in becoming a wholesaler, you tend to take a lower markup because the stuff has to be resold to another customer. So we don't want to mark our products up super high and then it makes it hard to resell. So we take a lower cut so that it can be resold to the end customer. But that's also because we're selling in bulk. So if we're selling multiple and taking a lower cut, we still will be okay in the end because you're buying in bulk. Pre-packs are done, 1, because of profit, 2, because wholesale is buying in bulk, not buying one piece. So if you're buying wholesale, you can expect to be buying in bulk. Clothing usually comes 6 pieces, shoes usually comes 12, denim usually comes like 12 or 14. And then the only thing that really doesn't come in pre-packs is like jewelry and accessories. Those you can typically buy one piece, but they usually have a $1 minimum that you have to meet, like $50 or $100 worth of product in order for them to sell it to you. So that typically has to do with profitability. They want to make sure they're making a profit if they're selling something to you at such a low cost. And then that also makes sure they're selling in bulk and they're not just pulling one piece to ship to you and only made like 20 cents on an item or whatever it may be. I'm just throwing out a random number. Pre-packs are an industry standard. Most people require pre-packs when you're dealing with wholesale because it is purchasing in bulk. The other places where you can tend to get items that are not in pre-packs are usually the companies that are overseas. They usually will sell you one piece or however many pieces that you need. So you can look into that. Just consider shipping when doing that because you may be paying for shipping that may increase your cost. But that's something you can look into if you really only want to buy certain pieces or certain sizes. Now when it comes to sizes, because that's the other question when it has to do with pre-packs, about the extra smalls, the extra large, plus size, people question why is it 1X to 3X? I think is the standard, but what about like the 5X, 6X? Unfortunately, we live in a society where everyone has the standard sizes in their mind. So for the plus size, they do 1X to 3X, and they don't include the 5X to 6X, 7X, however, whatever sizes that you need. Because those are industry standards, one. That's how society painted that picture. Two, it has to do with sales. When you're testing out sizes of what sells and what doesn't, those are probably the main sizes that sell. The other sizes don't. So they stick to what works. I can tell you from personal experience, that's what I had to do. When I first started, I did extra small through large because look at me, I'm little. So I wanted the extra smalls. But extra smalls didn't quite work. And then I started getting a lot of inquiries about plus size. I don't sell plus size, but I thought maybe I'll start including at least extra large in my packs because that'll be helpful for people that want a bigger size. It's not plus size, but you have an extra size in there. That didn't work. Between the extra small and extra large, those didn't really sell well. I would always get people asking if they can take out the extra small or the extra large because those sizes don't sell for them. They usually sit. So that's when I decided to go to the industry standard of small, medium, large, and I do 2 of each size. You'll notice a lot of vendors tend to do those sizes because that's considered the industry standard. It's kind of our society that has painted these pictures with these sizes, but it also is kind of what's proven to work because when you test out those other sizes, they don't tend to work. Don't ask me why, because there's people that wear those sizes, but the small through large seems to work. The 1X to 3X for plus size, I'm assuming works because a lot of people are doing it. I haven't gotten into plus size yet, so I'll let you guys know what actually works when I get started. Oh, and just to go off of the pre-packs too, a lot of people question why can't they just break a pre-pack and get the ones that they want out of the pre-pack. Most companies won't break pre-packs because it messes with inventory. Like it can cause your inventory to be a disaster. You'll get left with a bunch of random sizes and now it's harder to sell, which kind of will then force you to sell one piece just to get it out the door versus selling in bulk like you should be as a wholesaler. So pre-packs tend to not be broken for me personally, mainly because of inventory reasons. If I start breaking pre-packs for every person that asks about it, I would have all these random sizes. Now I gotta figure out how many full packs I actually have, how many I don't have, what do I have in this size and that size. It can become a complete disaster, especially when I sell online that is available 24/7. Someone may go to buy a pre-pack and there's really not a pre-pack available because it's already been broken to accommodate someone else. It'll become a mess. You'll have a bunch of angry people at you if you can't keep up with the inventory. Then you'll also start losing money when you're stuck with random sizes that were pulled from broken pre-packs that you haven't been able to sell off because then you have other buyers that are actually looking to buy pre-packs. Okay, so the last question, which is a question that kind of strikes a nerve for me personally. I'm gonna try not to take it personal, but it kind of does. So the last question is, why do you need invoices to register? Now you're probably wondering why is that striking a nerve for me, because I don't require invoices, but trust me, there was a point I was ready to, which I'll explain that to you in a minute. But the reason some vendors, not all vendors do this, but some require invoices is because they want to be sure that you are an established vendor before they start working with you. There's a lot of vendors out there that prefer not to work with startups, and they prefer to work with an established vendor. And this is when things start getting a little personal for me. When I first started my business, I noticed that, let me back up. When I first wanted to become an entrepreneur and I wanted to do the whole retail side, and I was trying to register for some of these vendors and they needed invoices, it got really frustrating that I couldn't buy from certain vendors, so I get everyone else's frustration when all I was trying to do was start up a business, but I need these invoices to buy to even start up. But then it's like, how do you start up if no one will give you the opportunity? So fast forward to when I'm ready to start my wholesale side of business, and I felt like there was a market out there by working with startup businesses. Of course, registered because I require a license, but once registered, even if they haven't purchased from someone else, I would be their go-to as a startup to get started, and then from there, if they choose to buy from these bigger brands or these well-known brands that have been out for a long time, then that's fine, that is their choice. I felt like I hit the needle on the head where I found a market that's untouched. No one's really working with them, but because everyone wants these established buyers that they're working with, and here I am gonna just jump in and start working with these startups. Boy, did I quickly learn why a lot of these vendors prefer to work with established vendors versus startups. And this is where I say I hope people don't take things personal. But I quickly learned that working with startups can be quite difficult. Not all, I will say that now, not all. There are some out there that truly just are trying to start their business and they need somewhere to start. And I love working with them and watching them grow. But then you have some startups that, how do I put this in the right terminology so that way I'm not being attacked, because I know I will. But it's like some of these startup buyers kind of have the mentality that they don't have anything to lose. Or some of them start to become big-headed, and it's like, well, this is my company, so I can do things the way I want to. I can act the way I want to because it's mine and can't nobody tell me anything else, which is true. But when you're working B2B, or simply because you're running a business, you're representing your brand. So when you're getting customers that feel they are entitled because they now own a business, and they feel like they can talk to people certain ways, they can treat people certain ways, they can act the way that they want to, it becomes very difficult to work with those type of buyers. There came a point in time where I wanted to completely stop working with startups. I just had to keep reminding myself I used to be that person at once. Trying to start up, and it wasn't that easy. Of course, I found my workaround with the whole invoice thing, but they can make it pretty difficult for you if you don't figure out how to work around the whole invoice situation. I definitely wanted to stop working with startups, but then I had to remind myself of the many people that have reached out to me to just thank me for the help that I've provided and the information that I've been giving. And I remind myself that I'm actually helping people out here, regardless of the bad apples that have come along. I've actually helped a lot of people. So I've continued on with YouTube and with working with startups. But that just shows you why some of these vendors choose to only work with established vendors or established buyers. Established buyers tend to realize, okay, they've already worked super hard for the brand that they've built. And the last thing that they want to do is ruin that by, looking for the right words, by acting out of character, which could jeopardize their brand. Especially at a time like now when you have social media and everyone puts everything on social media, the moment you act out of character, it'll go up on social media. People will start exposing you. Maybe not one of the vendors you're working with because they have to think about their business too, but at some point you may will. And that's the other thing I try to remind myself, that those people that come along giving you a difficult time, remember that they're also running a business and they're representing their own business. And if they're acting that way to you, they're going to start attracting customers that act the same way that they act. Or better yet, those people that think because it's their own business they can act any kind of way they please. Those will be the ones that'll run all their customers away because they're treating them so poorly. No business is perfect and you can't please everyone, but I can tell you right now, a lot of these vendors prefer to work with established businesses just because of the headaches that come along with working with startups. Not all, but there are some out there. Another reason vendors tend to only work with established vendors over startups and require invoices is just because they want to see how serious you are. You'll get a lot of startups that'll come along and they won't last in business. A lot of established vendors, they want businesses that are going to stick around because then that means their business sticks around longer. So if you get a lot of customers that only buy one time, you have to consistently look for new customers. A lot of up and down in your own business because you may be up when all these businesses start popping up, but as soon as they make their one purchase, you drop down until hopefully they sell the inventory that they purchased, and then they'll be back hopefully to buy more. And that's the other thing with working with startups, is they'll buy, they'll realize that this stuff isn't selling, and it's not because of the product, it's because they just don't have the clientele yet because they just started and the first thing they did was go buy product. I'm going to tell you now, please don't do that. I've made that mistake before. I've lost money on product that just sat because the first thing I did was go buy a product. One of the best tips that could have been given to me when starting up a new business was to market at least 6 months before actually launching product. It doesn't even have to be 6 months. I don't even think I did a full 6 months. I probably did like 3. But at least start marketing so people know that you're up and coming, you're getting ready to launch, they have something to look forward to. Give them an idea of the type of products that you'll be selling. Establish a name for your brand, and then start to roll in product. Even if you only roll in a little product at a time, start bringing it in little by little. Or if you feel like you really established a brand, you can hit them hard with a full collection. Only people that tends to work for, where they can just go out and buy and then sell everything right away, is people that, popular people basically, or people that have a following already. So trust me, I made that mistake, learn from my mistake, but I won't keep going into that because that really doesn't have anything to do with the original question. I think I've rambled on enough, so we'll wrap up this video now. I hope no one took things personal about what I've been saying, especially when it comes to startups, because I do appreciate startup businesses. I was a startup at one point too. This video was strictly intended to answer the questions and kind of set the tone for those that are wondering why, because we all wonder why. But that is pretty much it for this video. If you guys have questions, of course, you can drop them down in the comments. People DM me all the time. I'm way behind on DMs, but I do see them there and they're still waiting for me to reply. Thank you for watching.